up? What up? Thanks for being here. Yes, I am so stoked to get into this video. Raya and the Last Dragon is quite literally one of my favorites. I cry almost every single time if I watch it all the way through because there's such a deep-rooted connection to so many layers of reality when it comes to human beings and how we operate with each other that are embedded in this. So let's get into it. This is not only your spoiler alert that I'm going to talk about things in the movie, this is also your opportunity to know that I am just a human being with a perspective. So this is a psychoanalysis of this particular movie from my perspective, and that's it. So take it with a grain of salt. Okay, cool. Let's do this. One of the things that I find the most valuable to pay attention to in this movie is the sister-wife nature of Raya and Namaari, the two main female leads. This literally starts when they're kids, and you can tell they have like a chemistry. And for any girl who's had girl crushes, it's pretty palpable. And it just continues into adulthood when they just fight each other all the time. They get all aggressive and wrestle. And like low-key, they like each other. Low-key, they want to spend more time together. And that's what I like about this movie. I'm blushing as I say it because I think it's one of the cutest parts about the way that Disney like subtly put this together. Just like they did with Buzz and Woody, you know? Like they have this subtle undertone of chemistry that exists. It's like we got each other's backs, but then we're kind of rivals, right? And for me, that's such a cool way to express that chemistry without being overt. I don't think that we need to be super duper overt in certain circumstances. I think there are lots of ways that we can use subtle undertones to help kids understand and help people grow into the idea that humans are humans and they need to be able to express themselves how they choose to express themselves. So I like the way that they did this dynamic, and you can see it in every layer of the two girls' beings, right? Like in Raya's essence, she has a very feminine tone, feminine nature with the way her clothes move, the way her hair is done. She has a masculine tone because she's a warrior, so you see her in her masculine often. But if we're going off of her tones as the way that she looks, she has much more flowy hair, much more like feminine tones of laughter, smiling, soft lines. Whereas Namaari, the counterpart, has much more what we would consider like butchy or stud traits, where she's like the tough bitch and her hair's cut all badass. And she has very strong lines where you can see that masculine come forward a lot more. And then you see her feminine side soften up. When Raya's gunning for her in certain circumstances, you see Namaari's feminine side. And then other layers of that happen vice versa, right? When Raya's being funny and laughter, like promoting funny banter between the two of them, she's showing up as feminine, where Namaari's got this anger and this rage that she's like carrying, so she's showing up as masculine. It is a very, very cool dynamic. And I think it was a good example of how these kind of things work in relationships of same-sex couples. There's a lot of masculine, feminine dynamics that are super cool to observe and important to understand in order to be respectful. Men and women have the same functions. They have masculine and feminine functions. They just think they have them more clearly defined in heterosexual relationships because men do this and women do that. And unfortunately, because they don't have a full grasp on masculine and feminine qualities, there's a fucking whole mess happening right now with heterosexual relationships that I don't think is happening in gay relationships. I actually think if you look around, gay relationships are thriving. And it's because they're getting an opportunity to be seen, heard, respected, and felt. This is an important thing that we understand, that community and culture should be celebrated and people should be able to be who they are and come together without being overt. We don't have to be overt. Okay, let's get into the next segment. This place was once called Kumandra. Then this very weird, energetic, dark cloud entity took Kumandra over. These entities are called the Droon. The Droon do not like water. They can't cross it. And the Droon, we find out later, can be banished with a certain action. And that's the whole premise of this entire podcast, so I'm not going to give it away just yet. But Kumandra was these 5 parts of the dragon that were connected. Now, I've kind of read up on the movie a little bit, so I understand now that a lot of the graphics and a lot of the cultural elements that they placed in this movie and in this Kumandra world were Southeast Asia inspired. It's really, really cool. Anyway, so if you can take that into mind right now while we're talking about it, that gives you kind of an idea of the dragon and the symbolism of the dragon when it comes from these different types of cultures. So this Droon came about, and when the Droon came about, all of the remaining dragons came together and created a stone to boom the Droon away. The stone, as the whole dragon stone, stays in the heart area of Kumandra. So the world of Kumandra is divided by 5 spaces. I believe it's head, tail, spine, heart, and there's another one, fang. The leader of Heart knows that the rest of Kumandra is mad that Heart has the dragon stone. They feel like it's magic. They feel like Heart is protected because they have it from the Droon, because the Droon are not completely gone. When the dragons do this, they get rid of a lot of Droon, but not all of them. So humans still have to figure out why the Droon are still here and what they can do, and the dragon stone keeps the Droon away. So the leader of Heart, which is Raya's dad, who protects this and has taught Raya to be a warrior so she can protect it, he invites everyone in Kumandra to come have dinner so they can all try to work together to figure out how to get the Droon away. But everyone in Kumandra is jealous that Heart has the dragon stone. So this is where we meet Raya and Namaari for the first time. They become friends. They talk about food, whatever. Raya doesn't realize that Namaari has been trained to be a warrior as well, except Namaari was trained to try and get the dragon stone from Heart so she could take it to Fang, because that's the part that she's from. She gives Namaari her trust because her dad teaches her that she's trying to learn how to trust other people and that not all these people want to hurt them. Some people are jealous and upset, but not everybody wants to hurt them. So he's trying to put this value into her that people can be trusted. So she excitedly wants to show the Dragonstone to Namaari. So she takes Namaari up the mountain, shows her where the Dragonstone is, where she's been trained to protect this thing. And of course, Namaari turns on her. Dragonstone gets broken, and each one of the members of the dragon, like the leaders, take the stone back to their place. So now the Dragonstone is in 5 pieces. When that happens, the Droon show up. Raya's dad takes Raya, tosses her off of a bridge into water with the Dragonstone that he still has from Heart, because there's like pieces now. So he had a piece. Gives it to Raya, tells her she has to go. And what happens when the Droon shows up is they turn everyone to stone. They're like a electrical dark cloud. And when they woof over you, you turn into stone, where you're holding your hands in a certain position. So this happens, and the movie is about Raya trying to figure out how to bring the dragons back to solve the Droon problem. So Raya is traveling, has a map to try and find Sisu, who is the last dragon. This is the whole premise of the movie, is them getting all these pieces back. It's a Disney movie. In the end, it happens. It's really cool. The idea with the entire movie is built around trust, and we're going to kind of jump into a little bit of these layers. First, I want to tell you more about the Droon. So let's get into that. Before I get too far into the Droon, I wanted to pull together Kymatica and Kumandra. So I'm going to hurry and insert that in here real quick. The reason I draw comparisons between these two is because Kumandra, the word, has a couple of layers to it. Ku also sounds like cue, like kick it off, like start it. So that's one thing that I thought was funny. Mandra sounds like mantra and mudra mixed together. So Q mantra, Q mudra, like, anyway, I thought it was really interesting to see how the place was called Kumandra, and that was the first thing it made me think of, was this documentary called Kymatica that discusses that. It discusses all sorts of things that are laid over one on top of the other. Kymatica is essentially this awareness of human consciousness and the way that it works and the way that it's interconnected and things that have been weaved together in current society collectively as a culture. That's a lot to say. But It's a really kick-ass documentary. I made a whole podcast about it. It is spelled Kymatica, Kymatuka. So I would encourage you to check that out. I love that it brought up mantras and mudras, because I think that as we get a little further into understanding what the drunes are, this will make more sense. So let's go get into that right now. Now we're ready to talk drunes. So the drunes essentially are the demonic forces, or the stagnant forces, because they turn people to stone, like I said. So when they voom over them, they just turn to stone afterwards. And there is a way to get them back. That's what everyone knows, is if we boom the drune away, everyone comes back. They turn back on. So the process here is figuring out what is it that does that. So Raya travels. She summons Sisu, and Sisu's spirit, who is the last remaining dragon, is able to take form because she does all the necessary things that it takes to get Sisu's spirit to take form. So Sisu thinks that the drune are gone because she's back, but she realizes that the dragon stone's been broken. And after Raya explains it all to her, she's like, yo, what the fuck? So the drune can be beat by bringing forces together in a way that reflects genuine trust. Spoiler alert, the ending of the movie is that they figure out they have to trust each other. Raya goes and collects all the dragon stones and then realizes that we have to put them together and we have to trust each other. And the one they don't trust the most is Namaari. So Namaari has to be the one to put them together and then signify her trust with her actions. This is where mantras and mudras come in when it's with the drunes. It's all about actions, what you do with your hands, what you do with your thoughts, what you do with your words. Every layer of these things create this space that helps you reinforce that you trust. You trust a higher force to boom the shitty things out of your life and reinforce the beautiful divine unity. That is the coolest part about this movie. It makes me cry every single time because there's it's a Disney movie. There's sad, dramatic parts where you realize certain things happen as a sacrificial thing, and then it's not really sacrificial, thankfully, but it feels that way when it happens. You're like, what has happened? So the drune, that's how they're beat. That's where I think the Kymatuka, Kumandra, mantra, mudras rolls in. And that's where the dragon stones come into place, and the ability to recognize how deep-rooted trust is what reinforces our ability to banish and baptize evil forces all day fucking long. When people come together, they have the ability to do that. That's what that kind of trust within ourselves and within one another can do. But it has to be earned and it has to be built. And there are ways in this movie where Raya did not trust properly a certain point where she could have given Sisu an opportunity to let Namaari decide. And instead of doing that, she pulled the trigger, for lack of a better word, sooner than she needed to. And it caused a whole mess of drama. So there's layers to how that trust has to be earned, and everyone is capable of fucking up. In this circumstance, we expected Namaari to fuck up, but it was Raya that did it, because everyone has the capability of falling flat on their fucking face. So vibes off that. Let's go ahead and wrap this up, because I want to talk about trust as a power source. There is power in trust, for real. What I mean by that is our ability to build trust with one another and really keep it and mean it is our power to have dominion in this world. That's why there's so many fucking assaults against it. So many. What do you think all these divisions are? They're opportunities to assault our desire to trust each other and to work together. They're fucking drune. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's really, really, really important to drive the point home at what was really being said here is a collective of individuals got into the mentality of family and honor, so much so, certain elements of them, that they were willing to protect a clan instead of the collective realm that they all inhabit and all walks of life have an opportunity to coexist in. That's really, really what trust and building bonds and barter and trade and these kind of skill set energies are all about in a unified space. The world is going back to a unified space. It's going into a space where we're going to be able to see new opportunities, new changes for growth and coming together. But it's going to be in pockets because people are not going to all agree on everything. So the idea is understanding, how do we trust each other enough to boom the drone away? How do we loosen up the reins on some of these tight, staunch, old school ideas that hold us hostage to what we think other people are supposed to be doing, and instead refocus back on ourselves in order to get into what are we doing? If you have a judgment for another person, I dare you to take a moment, think about your goofy ass judgment and try to apply it to yourself. Try to think about how that dumb shit applies to you and how maybe you never want to judge them because you don't ever actually want to have to walk their shoes, because that might be what the requirement is in a unified world. All of your judgments, boom, instant karma. You're going to feel exactly how that person needs to feel. Real talk. Because we're here to build a bond and understand one another. In turn, we use that power to protect the world. We use that power to keep the world in a harmonious state. We've allowed for too long divisions and separations of the left brain, the logical side of thinking, the westernized mentality of colonization to take over how we're operating in a world that is built on harmony. It's built on collective coming together, not protecting one's own selfish clan. That is not to say that one is not supposed to protect their clan, if you will, or protect their immediate circumstances, their immediate family. Of course, we're supposed to do that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that what we need to be looking at is microcosms and macrocosms of this. Divine respect is a universal language. It's the most important language we have within our different walks of life with one another. We have an opportunity here to evaluate different ways that we can see what we're doing on an individual basis, how it impacts a larger collective, and what we can do to have a better guiding impact on what we want to see for that larger collective in a harmonious way. Things have to have a place. That's how this works as well. But we're not doing a good job at not trying to force them to be in a hierarchy. What are we doing here? Like, is it seriously just all about having nice shit and that's it? Like, all we care about is just like having nice shit and trying to impress fake ass people? It has to be more than that. And I think that's why we've been divided so hard to think this way, to be so hard into a left-brained hierarchy mentality and society, because it's way easier to control a large body politic that way. People started getting unified. Like, we could pull together society without needing a power structure that clearly is corrupted and fucks us over repeatedly. And that's what I think we are clearly working towards in a unified way if we're staying unified in our being. If you're out here fighting your responsibilities and you're out here fighting your life, you're not trusting. You're not trusting anything. You're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting other people. You're not trusting that it's working out. And the level at which you have to leap. In the end of this movie, so we can wrap this up, Namari had to leap. She had to put the fucking Dragonstone piece together and then set it down and then go stand next to her friends and let the Droon take her. Legit. And when she did that, she demonstrated actual trust. Like real, authentic trust. Because she put it together and didn't know if it was going to work, and she just gave herself to the Droon anyway. And that's why it worked. Because their collective trust combined, because all of the characters were from different parts of the dragon, their collective characters combined brought the life and the trust to that Dragonstone. So they boomed the Droon away for good and brought all the dragons back, homie. We have the ability to develop a divine understanding of how this allows us to graduate and elevate our reptilian brain, number one, but also our collective psychic energy, our collective awakening to psychic awareness, telepathic communication, that kind of thing. This was such a good movie. I hope you enjoy. I just want to say thank you so much for listening and participating in this series. I'm literally having so much fun. I've been planning this series since like November, December. And due to so many weird ass personal restraints, I just have held back from really putting forth the effort to sit down and do this. I've written out the notes like a bunch of different times. I've probably decided to do this thing like 7 different ways, but whatever, here we are. So I hope you like it. Let me know what you think. In whatever social media you find me on, feel free to Google me. But peace and blessings. Peace.